Lions and lionesses. This week, I want to share with you what I call the Extraordinary Health, Fitness, and Longevity Weekly Checklist. Sometimes I do a lot of research, and other times I pull it all together and say what is essential and what's not that important. And I've been helping Tony with his book, and this is something that developed as a daily checklist or a weekly checklist. But these are the things that it's like the 90-10 rule. I would say 90% of your results are going to come from 10% of the stuff you are, 10 different things. And so we have 10 rules or 10 commandments, and these will give you the most bang for your buck. And so there's a lot of people trying to grab your attention and just say crazy things to say like, hey, this works, this is what's best, you got to do this, or trying to sell you something. I'm just going to share with you the facts, what you really need to do and what every human needs to do in order to get the most out of these bodies and these minds and our lives. So number one, your main ingredient, hydrate. You are between 65 and 70% about water when you look at the total mass of all your cells. You have trillions of cells. The bigger you are, the more cells you have. It's estimated by the Smithsonian about 38 trillion cells in an average sized person. So if you're smaller, you have less. If you're bigger, you have more. That's simple. But the easy rule here is drink half your body weight in pounds, if we're talking about pounds, an ounce of water per day, or those used in the metric system, your body weight in kilograms multiplied by 0.033, and that will equal the amount of liters of water per day. Now, if you're changing environments, like you're going to higher altitude, you would need more water because your body's adapting to the environment. If you're going to if you're not used to, say, Arizona, and you go to a desert climate, then you would need more water. So the range is you would add another 20% on top of what you would normally drink. Got it? So that's rule number one. If you're not doing that, that's got to be a priority because water affects every system in your body. So water is needed for every chemical reaction to occur. It's either a byproduct of the chemical reaction or it is put into the chemical reaction. Number two, eat foods closest to the natural source, what Mother Nature created. Avoid processed foods, especially carbs, and low-quality processed meats like hot dogs and lunch meats and stuff like that, right? So if it comes from nature, it's going to be good for you, unless you have an actual allergy, and you would know about that. But very rarely do people have these type of allergies. If they do, it's something that's probably been genetically modified, like peanuts or soy or something of that nature. So that's a really easy rule, but people get so confused because there's so much misinformation, like this food's good, this food's bad. Let's just think of it this way. There's no real bad food. If you're stuck on a stranded island, all you have is Doritos or potato chips or candy. Those will actually keep you alive for a significant amount of time. So nothing's really bad, but there are better choices. And the ones that come from Mother Nature, at least if one step from the Mother Nature is ideal, I would say. Like if you have a fruit on a tree and you pick it, that's ideal. But if you have GM, which has a bunch of added sugar in it, then not so much. Simple rule. Now, there is a lot of research on this, and I did an audio, but I just want to bring it back because I don't think everyone heard it. But this is how you prevent disease risk. There is a plethora of research on this, on cruciferous vegetables. So consume at least one serving of cruciferous vegetables per day. This includes things like broccoli sprouts, cauliflower, broccoli itself, Brussels sprouts, cabbage like kimchi or sauerkraut, and kale. There's a few other ones, but they're less known. But broccoli sprouts actually have the highest amount of the active ingredient, sulforaphane, which has been shown to prevent about 8 different types of cancer so far, and more are coming out. But it's a little thing that can make a big difference over time. Number 4, commit to structured eating times. So the human body thrives off of consistency because it wants to be safe. When some days you have 1 meal, some days you eat 5 meals, some days you have 2, some days you fast, some days you eat all day. The body doesn't really know what's going on. So the amygdala, part of your brain that's screening the environment, is saying, hey, we don't know what's going on. Stay on high alert. And in that state, the body breaks down faster than it rebuilds. That's as simple as I can say it. There's actually much more detail to it. But that really simple thing is just eating. Like say I eat 3 times a day. That's great. The research shows it's the total amount of food you eat in a day. It's not actual the times of it. However, we're really designed to live with the cycles of nature, like daytime. So eating more during daytime and not in the middle of the night, there is some sort of difference there in how we process different foods. And so it won't make you fat if you eat after like 9 p.m. or anything like that. But it's not as healthy. So eating at about the same times all the time. If you work the night shift, eat about the same times all the time. Your body will adapt to the routine. What you do, it gets good at. But if it's sporadic, it's not as good. And then try to eat within a 12 and 12 cycle at least. That's a natural cycle. 12. Eat all your meals at about the same times within a 12-hour time frame, and then fast the other 12 hours. Give your body a chance to take a break, especially your digestive system. And so there's a bunch of controversy of saying like, oh, eat 8 hours or 6-hour window, that'll make you lose more weight. When you actually equate calories, so there's been studies done on this, year and 2-year-long studies, very significant studies, showing that if one group would have 2,000 calories in a continuous feeding state, which means they would just spread it out throughout the whole day when they were awake, and the other group would just eat it in a 6-hour window, but they ate the same amount of calories, they found they had almost identical results. So it's the total amount of food that you eat in a day. However, having some rules, some structure to when you eat and having a time frame makes it a little bit easier. It automates it a little bit more. So that's where I think eating in a 12-hour period and then fasting for a 12-hour period makes it easier to stick to. Sleep hygiene. Go to sleep and wake up at about the same times. That's a really simple rule that makes a big difference. Again, it's the body thrives off routine. When you can give it consistency, it feels safe. And then it puts it in a healing mode where you can replace cells as they break down. And when cells break down faster than you can replace them, that's what we call aging. And so it doesn't mean you have to be that way though. Number 6, get strong by performing 3 resistance training sessions per week, which we're already doing. Challenge creates change. Of all the things for longevity, resistance training is the anti-aging phenomenon. It has a greater impact on not just your muscles, your connective tissue, your bones, but also your hormones. And it prevents a lot of the weakness that occurs with aging. Actually, it prevents all of it. I have a client that's 82 that can do 18 pull-ups. And he didn't start till he was in his 60s. So your body will get strong based off of what you do, but you got to be consistent and you got to be relentless. The other half of this is strengthen your heart, lungs, and build endurance with 3 cardiovascular exercise sessions of 15 to 30 minutes each session. So you can get benefits in even less than that time. We'll often build those in more often, but this is the ideal amount for most people. With challenge creates change though. If you're just walking for 30 minutes, you're not gonna get the same benefit. You need to get out of breath, you gotta sweat. That irritation, that discomfort is what makes the body improve. And number 8, train your brain with daily breath work and meditation. This could be 2 minutes. And I do it every hour, when I'm really focused on a project, I do it 3 minutes after every hour that I'm awake. And I just set a timer. I just tell Siri at next hour, tell me. And then I just take 2 minutes to reset, reconnect, and I go again. But working your way up to where you can sit in stillness and just observe your thoughts and not overreact or underreact is a skill. It's a trait. And then when you're training, we want to transfer that to a moving meditation. That's why I give you all these instructions for mental conditioning while you train, because ideally we go through life in this state of calm, centered poise, where a state of readiness, where we're prepared for anything. Now, number 9, for all body composition goals, if you want to lose fat, build muscle, or do both, or maximize one of those, you must track body weight, total calories, and protein intake daily. These are the 3 metrics that you need to know in order to burn fat, build muscle. If we have no idea what's going on, we can't guess. You can't go by what you look like in the mirror. You can't go by how you feel. We need to use science, and this is the simplest way to do it. We obviously do measurements and other things, but even if you just have these 3, I have clients that I talk to once a month, and they're not even in the app. I just give them the instructions, they tell me these numbers, and I tell them how to adjust it. Very simple. These are people that compete in fitness competitions. Now, number 10, and this is where a lot of people fail. I have had the great honor of working with some of the most successful people on the planet. I still do today. And what happens is when you help someone, they refer other people. And a lot of the people around really successful people are not as successful as them, obviously, right? It's a percentage game. And so they'll refer me their siblings or their significant other or their parents or their kids. And you find that there's a difference between these people. And it's how they think. It's how they view the world. It's the beliefs they have and what they believe is possible. They look through the lens of infinite possibility, that they are the creator of lives and they're not victims of circumstance. And so one of the things they do a lot of times unconsciously, but oftentimes consciously, is they script out the movie of their life. They are very clear on what they want to achieve. They're very clear on who they need to be and why they're here. So decide what you want to create, and then decide what type of person you need to be to have that life, and then be that. This must be constant. This isn't the thing you do once. This is the thing you got to do all the time, every day, until it becomes part of you. Write it out, speak it out loud. You can record it and do that at least twice daily, when you wake up and then before you go to sleep. It's really important when you go to sleep, the 15 minutes before you fall asleep, you go into what's called a theta brainwave state. And whatever you're focused on during that time will be repeated in your subconscious during sleep 17 times in an 8-hour period. And so there is programming going on. We're being programmed all the time by our environment. If you're on social media or watching television, the people you're around. But when you're a leader, when you consciously decide to do this, the environment no longer impacts you. You impact the environment. But that doesn't happen by accident. That doesn't happen naturally. That happens by choice. You decide that you're going to do that, and you do these types of things where you're focused on it. So use your imagination to experience your goals, what you want to achieve, as if it were done, and do it in advance. Now, some of these things you may be like, I'm doing that, I'm not doing that. You don't have to do all of them at once. Ideally, you will, but take one and own it. Like if you're not drinking enough water, just say like, I'm drinking enough water no matter what. I don't care. I will not make up any stories. And the thing that limits us all is, until you decide it won't, is the things you say. You limit yourself more than anybody else. We like to blame other things, but as soon as you blame, you lose the power to control your life. You give the power away to other people. So you could be a conscious creator, or you could just be a victim of life. But the difference between a lion and a lamb is that the lamb blames circumstance. The lamb lives in fear and says, I don't have control. I can't do it because of all these reasons. And then they continue to tell a very creative story of why they can't do what they want to do or have life the way they want it. The lion, the lioness, has the opposite approach. They live in love-based emotion. That may be passion, that may be compassion, that may be strength or determination or discipline or kindness, whatever it is. It's a positive emotional state where they can use that for fuel, and they can make decisions that are colored with that emotional state that allows them to make correct decisions, productive decisions. When you're in fear, you make poor decisions. So if you just do that, that is what I talk about the lion and lamb. The lion is who you really are. The lamb is who you were programmed to be during the first 7 years of your life, and oftentimes till this very day. But you're part of a program that most people will never be part of because they don't have the beliefs or that they would even have a chance to do this. But you're different. So a lot of times you can't share these things with other people. You just got to live your life as an example and allow other people to react to it. The environment will react to you. That's how you inspire people. All right, my friends, I'm going to cut it off there. But if you have questions or you want me to cover anything else, next week I'm going to do some more research stuff. But let me know. I appreciate you. You are the best. And remember, you are a lion, not a lamb.
Tap into the real you, but you have to retrain yourself. The way you retrain yourself is you wake your ass up in the morning and you say, I am here for a reason and a purpose. And it's bigger than my moods. It's bigger than the difficulties of the day. I am here to live like a lion, not the fear of a lamb.